welcome, podcast listeners. You are here with your host, Mr. BudgetPedalChap. We have got a absolutely special podcast today. We are joined by not one, but two Lees. Two Lees. First of all, we've got our standard Lee. Say, Ollie.
How do I say that in a standard voice? Hello, my name is Lee.
There we go.
I am Standard Lee. Is that what I'm going to be called then? Standard Lee.
Yeah, I think that's the way that we're going to distinguish you, fine gentlemen. There's going to be Standard Lee and I assume Stardom Lee.
Starly.
Highly unlikely.
There we go. Whee! There is the second Lee. Secondly, whee! That'll do. We've got Mr. Lee Harris. Hello.
Bonjour. Yeah, I am here in France.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, yes, very much so. You was talking about the weather before this, and you were saying how he had like ample sunshine. I was like, he's definitely not in the UK anymore.
Yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm like looking out for snow, and he's like, "Yeah, might go for a swim."
Excellent. So,
although I'm actually not here for that much longer because we start our tour next week in North America. So I don't know what the weather's like there. I better look before I pack.
That's it. Yeah, the shorts.
I mean, it's a big place. I think the weather's.
Yeah.
I think they're having like a big heat wave at the moment, aren't they? Is it Texas?
Probably. I haven't looked. We're going there, so I better not pack anything for Texas then.
That's it. Pack the Speedos.
Yeah.
Oh dear. So Lee. Who are you?
Highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely. Introduce yourself.
My name is Lee Harris, and I play guitar and am co-founder of Nick Mason's Saucerful of Secrets.
Woo!
And we focus on the whole idea of the band is that we focus on playing all of the pre-Dark Side of the Moon material, which is like 67 to 72, and which, you know, probably 95% of it is not played by David Gilmour or Roger Waters when they go on tour. So we sort of have quite a lot of stuff that we can get through, and you know, a lot of, you know, it's kind of niche in that way, and a lot of the you know, Pink Floyd staunch fans are really happy to hear that stuff again. And there's a lot of different, you know, I don't know if it's different genres, kind of, different genres. I mean, because you've got all that kind of, you know, poppy psychedelic stuff, and then you've got almost classical prog stuff, you know, and so it makes for an interesting evening of music because it's not all just one type of thing going on, you know, it's all different sounds and stuff.
Would you agree that the Syd Barrett to Dave Gilmour kind of eras is almost as different as the Peter Green to the other lot, Fleetwood Mac? They were, I think there's a vast difference there, but you know, when I listen to the Syd Barrett stuff, it has a very, very different feel to like to the Gilmour stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you mean. Yeah, I think that's a fair comment. Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, it's not really the David Gilmour era because I suppose Roger Waters wrote a lot of the material. Of course, you know, David's obviously the guitar player that everyone knows on that stuff, but I think that David's style was probably born out of Syd's because when he joined, he was joining to play the songs that Syd had been playing anyway. And actually he was using the same equipment for a little while, not for long, but for a little while. He was using a Selmer amp, you know. I think he might even have been using, this is when there'll be a whole forum dedicated to how stupid I am built somewhere, but I think that he was using even some of the same guitars for a little while, you know, not for the whole thing, but I think he might have used his Telly or his Esquire and maybe a Strat, I don't know.
That's really cool. I never realised that I was like, all right, Syd, I'm just going to replace you. Can I borrow some of your gear, please, mate?
I mean, It's almost as bad as Clapton, that is, isn't it? Like with George Harrison. Oh, do you just mind if I borrow your wife?
Oh man,
Indeed.
that's funny. That is funny. All right, okay, yeah. So it's all like the real psychedelic stuff. I personally love. I've said this to you before, but I used to go to a lot of parties with my friends, and some of them were really into it, and they introduced me to all the Syd Barrett stuff, and I was like, hell is this craziness? And after a few drinks, and a few parties, you really just like, I love this now. And this was when I was really quite young, like teenager. So yeah, I love what you do, man. I think it's amazing.
Oh, thanks. I mean, I think one thing I've definitely learnt from being around Nick, especially with that kind of stuff we were talking about. I mean, if you highlight a song like Interstellar Overdrive, it's that thing of playing and then going off somewhere, and when you're on stage, you tend to think, "Oh God, the audience is going to get bored of this. I've been doing this for like 40 seconds," and then you listen back to the desk tape, and it's actually been going on for like 5 seconds or something. Because when you're on stage, you just think everything just goes by so quickly. I think that's probably how, when they were recording those types of instrumentals or playing them live, they were just taking their time. I mean, it's like then when I paused to say that, you think, oh my God, that's ages. I better say something quickly. But actually, when you listen back to it in the podcast, it's like literally a second or two.
Yeah, it's natural.
You're thinking dead air, but it's like you say, it's just like a second at most.
Yeah.
And what is that in reality? It's fuck all.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. I used to have this little instrumental I wrote, which wasn't like a lead Satriani sort of instrumental. It was kind of like just it was just like an atmospheric instrumental that I used to stick in between two songs in one of my old bands. And whenever I got to play it, I would just get suddenly anxious of, does anyone actually want to hear this shit? Because it was just like basically me on the guitar playing it, and then everyone kind of just filled in just a little bit around me. And you did, and I would end up rushing it, and like you listen back to it, and you're just like, it would have sounded better if I didn't.
Yeah,
rush it.
I mean, audiences generally are listening. That's what they're there to do. But and they are.
Back then as well, there was a big trend of bands just kind of leaning heavy into the jams. Like you listen to like all of the early Deep Purple stuff, and they would make 3 songs last an hour. You got, again, like mentioning Clapton again, you got the Cream era stuff. It was just like all of the live stuff was just like leaning into these massive jam sessions, massive grooves, and they'd go on for like 20 minutes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I could listen to Ginger Baker play drums for days though. It's just like the guy was just so interesting.
So what got you into the Pink Floyd stuff? Was it something you've always
yeah, I mean, my parents, I think my taste in music definitely comes from my parents. So that was, all kind of, I was born in 1972, so it's all that basically what you're mentioning there. I mean, like, well, actually, they weren't that into Cream. I got into Cream, but stuff like the Allman Brothers Band and a lot of my dad liked a lot of jazz organists like Richard Groove Holmes and Jimmy Smith. So that'd be playing and the first concert I went to, I was nearly 4, and it was Queen in Hyde Park. And then literally, I think it might have been about 2 weeks later or something, he took me to see Peter Frampton at Wembley Arena on the Frampton Comes Alive tour. So I was always, as a child, I'd be taken to gigs. I mean, I went to see The Wall at Earls Court when the Floyd did that, and I would have been, I think I was 7.
Nice.
But I mean, I remember hearing Animals, Pink Floyd album, and I must have been 4 or 5, and I remember hearing, probably I took to it because I'd seen and heard Frampton doing the talk box. Yes. I remember hearing David Gilmour using the talk box, and as a kid, I loved the sound of it, and all the animal sounds at the starts of the tracks and things like that, sheep and the pigs and things. So, yeah, I think I was into that, and then went to see them quite a lot when they had their sort of what the period after Roger left, when they carried on Momentary Lapse of Reason and Division Bell. And my father is a cinematographer, and he actually worked with Storm Thorgerson, who was their album cover designer. And Dad was the cinematographer on a video for a song called High Hopes, which is on the Division Bell. So that film was shown in all the concerts on the Division Bell tour. So I was sent over to Giant Stadium to make sure it looked all right, on the screen. And then we went to see them countless times at Earl's Court. So I mean, I've always been a huge fan.
Yeah.
And then, I was still, I think I was about 21, 22 then. So I was, I'd left school. I was very much trying to find a band to be in, or didn't know if I'd do my own thing or what it was. And then, that's all a long story, but eventually I ended up with a band called the Blockheads, who were Ian Jury's band. Yeah. And I actually I joined them because I knew the bass player Norman very well. We'd met and had a jam, and then I'm trying to think. I mean, like when I joined them, Ian had just died. Well, I say I joined them. I didn't sort of join them. I sort of just came on board to do what I could to help them keep going, because they're one of my favorite bands of all time, and they wanted to carry on going. And so, like, I taught myself how to be like a webmaster. So I took on their site, and I would go to gigs and take pictures that I could put on the site. And I had a job at Ticketmaster, the ticket agency at the time.
Yeah.
And I would get tickets for their gigs and put them on that system so we could sell them easily. So then the band had an easy way of people buying their tickets. And then I'd be going to gigs, and I'd be, Ian used to do the set list. So none of them were used to doing that. So I started doing that, and, I sort of got swallowed up and became co-manager, but we always sort of said that they're unmanageable. So they call me the damager. And I did that for like 12 years. And in that time, when you're working with a band, like those guys who are respected by a lot of musicians, you get to meet a lot of other musicians and people who, I don't know, want of a better expression, are successful, So then I'd sort of meet people, and amongst those people would be Guy Pratt, who's the bass player in Nick Mason's Source of the Secrets, and he was in that version of Pink Floyd that I saw at Earl's Court.
Yeah,
and he's played, a lot. Yeah, I mean, Guy's played with. I mean, look him up on Wikipedia. He's played with everyone. He did the bass on Madonna's "Like a Prayer" and Michael Jackson's and Michael Jackson's Earth Song, and and
oh shit, like this is
it's
across the.
And he's actually got he hasn't paid me to do this, but he's got a fantastic book called My Bass and Other Animals, and it's not actually about him and his life and his family. It's just about his music career, really. And it's it's so easy to read, and it's really funny, and it's really worth reading. But
about a shout. That's sounds good.
So yeah, I mean, but I was trying to sort of encapsulate how I ended up doing this band, and what happened was I'd left the Blockheads in sort of 2013, got married. We moved to France to renovate and build a house, and whilst we were doing that, Guy was over about 3 hours away with David, playing on David Gilmour's tour, and I went to see that, and then I suddenly got realized how much I missed playing, But what I then did was I started thinking, well, I'm going to buy some pedals, because all I'd ever done was really, I mean, I think when I left school, I got a Digitech Pro rack mount
Oh, okay.
thing
Yeah.
that had loads of
Yeah.
effects in it. But it always annoyed me because you had to use the speaker simulator on it. So you could never really get it. If I wanted to, I couldn't really use my Fender amp with it and get a Fender sound with those effects. It had to, you ended up sounding like the effects, if you see what I mean.
Yeah,
So
it puts an imprint on the tone.
Yeah, and I think the first pedal I ever bought was a heavy metal as an Boss HM2 because David used one.
Yeah.
And I think I might have had a phaser and a compressor and something else, and then I got the GSP thing, and it totally put me off effects.
Yeah.
Apart from delays that I always like to use, but then I just went into playing blues. And then with the blockheads, sort of free associating here, so I didn't really finish that off. But eventually, I would start playing with them as well. So I'd probably sort of do about 15 gigs a year of or so. I think I did about 80 gigs with them all together. So I was a touring member of the band.
Yeah.
But I never used pedals with them. So when I went to see Gilmour, I thought I'm going to get some pedals, and then I can sound like him, of course.
We've all been
so
there.
many people go down that route.
And then, which is funny because now in this band, my whole thing is don't sound like him. But yeah, so then I started buying tube drivers and whatever, free the tone flight times and stuff like that he was using.
You got an older tube driver, don't you?
I did get a mod. Yeah, I got that Massimo Mantovani to mod it so I could use it.
But don't you have two? And
DC, I've got three. I've got three. I've got three and I don't use them.
Are you not using them anymore?
No. In fact, I had them put on. Well, I had them put on the board for when we were originally going to be doing this tour, and then COVID came along, and then I had loads of time to spend with all my equipment and realised I don't like it. So and then so I started buying all that stuff then, and then for about a year I was playing along like we all do, like everyone does when they're not even employed. Everyone just playing in their bedrooms, you know what I mean? So I was doing that, and then I went to see them again, and when I went to see them again, I then had the idea about, well, I'd really like to play with Guy, and I'd like to play some Pink Floyd stuff with him, but he won't want to play any of this stuff that he's performing with David, like Comfortably Numb and all that stuff, and stuff all the tribute bands play. So then, because we were in an amphitheater, it made me think of Pompeii, and then I suddenly thought, what about all the old stuff? And then I thought, we should ask Nick, and then it's the rhythm section, and then I spoke to Guy about it. He said that's a really good idea, but he'll never go for it. And I went, all right. And I went away for a month and had a chat with another mate of mine who's Tom Wilcox, who actually started off that band Holy Holy that play all the David Bowie material. And they have Tony Visconti, the producer, who actually played bass on, I think he played bass on the Man Who Sold the World album. So I had a chat with Tom. And he sort of said, you could actually have a look at the Syd Barrett stuff as well. And then I went back to Guy and said, I can't get this out of my head. And he said, okay, write it out properly and I'll get it to him. So I did, with all the ideas about what songs we could play and what I thought we could do, which was kind of like, I thought we could just, I didn't think he'd be that interested in doing a huge tour. So I thought, well, we could do like, a couple of shows at the South Bank Centre and something up north. and then we, and he wrote back and said, that's actually really interesting. And then, now we're here talking about it. We've done a lot. We did a gig at the Roundhouse, which we committed to film and obviously recorded. So that went out, and that was like, #1 DVD around the world in music and top 5 album in England and all that kind of stuff. So kind of surreal, but that all happened while we were in COVID lockdown, so it's kind of weird. We never really got to promote it.
Oh no.
I tried to push it where I could, but it was a weird time, wasn't it? It was really weird time. But still got #1 on the music DVDs. That's
I think in
pretty cool.
Italy and Germany and Australia or something. Or something
all of the
like
best
that.
countries. Yeah.
All of the non-Brexit countries.
But there you go. There's the story of how that all came about.
That's really
So,
cool.
Is Nick like does he really miss like
What's
this?
he like then? What's Nick Mason really like?
No, does he really? Does he like really miss the? Did he reminisce over the Sid Barrett era sort of thing?
Well, I mean, he's well documented talking about it. I mean, no, I mean, I think he just missed playing live. You know, he really just missed playing. You know, and the other thing is that when he was on the last, well, actually, every time he has played Pink Floyd music, either with the Floyd or when he guested with Roger, he played Dark Side of the Moon with Roger. Probably about 14 years ago or something like that. Now I can't remember exactly, but every time he's played live any Pink Floyd music since 1981 or 80, when The Wall was on, he always had another drummer with it. So this was an opportunity for Nick to actually just be the drummer in the band and not have, you know, someone else in the band saying, you know, we want another drummer as well, you know.
Right. Okay.
And he's playing fantastically. But I don't think, I think that was why he wanted to do it. I think it was just to get out and play again and remember why he started playing. And why he started playing, funny enough, going back to what you were talking about earlier, is Ginger. I mean, he saw Ginger Baker play, and that's what made him want to play drums. It wasn't, he does like jazz, but it was seeing Ginger Baker playing rock. Ginger Baker would hate you saying playing rock, but you know, but
that's right. He's not going to get you these days.
No, not now. But that's what made him want to play. You know.
Yeah.
Did you see that interview they did with Ginger not long before he passed away? And at the end, he started hitting the interviewer with his cane.
The film. It's a film called Beware Mr. Baker. But yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Got to catch this.
But he I mean, oh my God, just how different could you be as a drummer when everyone else is doing like 4/4 and stuff like this? And
Nick told me the story about when Cream reformed, which I went to, as I was at the same gig as Nick at the Albert Hall. Nick and Roger were there, and they went backstage after, and you know, I think, you know, obviously Nick, they all know Eric, and you know, probably know although Jack, and you know, so they went to see Ginger, and he was really nice, you know, and well, why wouldn't he be? You know, they're fellow, you know, musicians of the same era-ish, you know, well, the same era, but I think he was slightly older. But anyway, you know, he was fine. And then Roger went to see them at Madison Square Garden, which I did as well, and that was it was good, but it wasn't as good as the Albert Hall. But Roger went back after that gig as well, and went up to Ginger, went, Ginger, hi, Roger Waters, Pink Floyd. Ginger turned around and said, "Fuck off."
That's the Ginger we know and love.
Yeah.
Oh
dear.
Crazy. Yeah, I love those reunion tours at the Albert Hall. My God, I love the way that Jack Bruce's voice had matured over time.
And also, you know, Ginger's drumming. I mean, when he plays Toad, it's just I mean, you know, it's fantastic. You know, it's one of those things that I watch every time I watch it. I still watch it all the way through, and it's a bloody drum solo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, so only probably him and Neil Peart who do drum solos that I could just watch over and over again. You know?
Yeah, usually it's the time to go to the bar, isn't it?
And John Bonham, of course. You know, but you know,
Nick Mason.
Yeah, well, Nick doesn't play solos.
Does he never do a drum solo? Though?
No. He's sort of antithesis of playing for him. He hates that sort of thing. To do it himself, he's just not that sort of thing.
Fair play. Right.
Yeah.
I suppose it'd be.
You mentioned the Royal Albert Hall, but you had an experience there recently. Because am I right in saying you grew up across the road from it?
Yes. Tell everyone I'm posh. Another way of telling everyone I'm posh. I lived opposite the Albert Hall.
I mean, you put it on social media.
I know. When you know, I'd already mentioned my dad was a cinematographer, so I think when I was, when I was born, we were in Putney, and I think they were kind of, having to count coins to see how much we had for dinner, And then when he changed his job to cinematography, he got very successful, and consequently moved into a lovely apartment opposite the Albert Hall. And I would have been I think I was about 11 or 12, and so that was where I was when I got my first guitar. And I would overlook the Albert Hall artist entrance, while I was playing. And obviously, as a teenager growing up, you're looking out there daydreaming, thinking one day, and then of course that day did come earlier this year. So that was very special, and very, really special for my family. And I think I said, I don't care what happens now. So, I've done that. It's fine.
Bucket list kind of stuff.
I feel like that's a real magic moment. It's a cheesy thing to say, but it is.
No, it was. I mean, it was quite funny in the gig, because Gary Kemp, who's in our band, plays guitar with me. We, halfway through the second half, said, "Lee's got a wonderful story. Go on, tell it, Lee." And I was like, "What?" I didn't even know he was going to tell me, ask me to. So I had to tell everyone then as well, but I did it quite short.
So Gary was in Spandau Ballet. Did he ever play at Royal Albert Hall in Spandau Ballet?
He did, because I know that they had a movie, a documentary about Spandau Ballet, and I think the premiere was there, or at least the Q&A about it was there, and they played at that, and it was at the Albert Hall. So that was a few years back. He might have played there another time as well, but yeah, he had played there. In fact, everyone except myself and Don Beacon had played there. Nick had played there with a Floyd, and the story is that a roadie put a nail through the stage at the Albert Hall on something to stop Nick's drum kit from moving, and they henceforth got banned from the Albert Hall. But Nick seems to think that was at the South Bank or somewhere like that, and David says it was at the Albert Hall. So I'm not totally sure, but in any case, it wasn't a live band, because he played there earlier in the year.
Yeah. It's like when you get banned from a pub and you go back a few years later and don't recognise you.
Different haircut. Going.
Yeah.
Oh, you weren't me. It was my brother.
Grey hair.
Pair of glasses with a fake nose
and a moustache. So we would be absolutely reminiscent. I mean, this is going out on Pedalboards of Doom as well.
Yeah.
We've got to mention the pedalboard. We've just got to.
Well, which one?
Great start.
I did have the first. Well, the funny thing was, you see, like, because I live out here in France, and this isn't the funny thing. I was actually going to say the funny thing was that I actually went through about 4 different, changed it 4 times before it even did a gig. But the issue for me was living here in rural France. There is no gig rig company out here, I'd probably have to drive 3 hours to Barcelona or something,
I mean, I wouldn't have got that until I moved out here, and now
I
completely get you. I really do.
And you're in Sweden, right?
Yeah.
Are you rural as well?
More or less, yeah.
Cool.
It's a small village, but
right.
It's on the main road up to Stockholm, so it's
okay.
Not that rural, but there's fuck all. There's nothing here. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's no one here to buy us my amp or anything like that. Consequently, before we moved here, I actually had that done, because I knew that was going to happen. But no, so what I'm trying to spit out is that I basically, used things like Bjorn's Bjorn Reese's Gilmore-ish website, and and Dan and Mix That Pedal Show, and things like that, to see what I thought would work. And and there was a really friendly forum on the site, what still is, called the David Gilmour Gear Forum, I think it is, and lots of people really helpful on there. And consequently, I sort of just I got lots of stuff, thinking, well, this will do what that will do that, etc. And then I go back to England with all these pedals, and Jake and Joe at the gig rig would put them all together for me, and Chris at Custom Pedal Boards made the board. So
Chris
I think
Ryan.
Chris Ryan. I think I had about something like 14 pedals on that board, but the whole thing with that was it was the same ethos as anyone with a huge pedal board, which is normally that you don't want to have to be going up in the middle of a song and changing the distortion level on each bloody song, bending over and doing this. You got, all you got to do is just get on your switcher and press whatever preset and you're done and you can perform,
Yeah.
So that's why there were so many. But
that's why you had the 3 different tube drivers, was because you had them into different levels.
Yeah,
of pain,
exactly. Exactly. But so I took that out, and then whilst all that was going on, I was very lucky to get endorsement with Free the Tone and High Tone Amps, which are in Indiana in America, so I used their stuff, and then we went out, and I think we did about 70 shows, and then we were going to go out again, and then I changed it again. So the one that I've got at the moment has got. I mean, I've just been mucking around with it again today. It's phoning up my tech up, who's in rehearsals with Chrissy Hyde, saying, "I'm changing it again," and he's like, "Oh man," But I think so. I mean, really, the thing with me and pedals is that I don't know. It's I was saying earlier on about how I've only ever really been used to playing through an amp.
Yeah.
The thing is, I like really to have a consistent sound, whether it's clean, medium gain or solos,
Yeah.
And I just didn't have that because I was using all these different pedals for different, levels, as I was saying. And what I've done now is I'm trying to think what's on the board because I'm going to forget. I've got a Future Factory, the Free the Tone with the 2 delays in it.
A stereo, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm not using it stereo.
Why?
And why? Why?
You get these really great Dave Gilmour types, right?
Exactly.
There's already 2 guitarists in the band. You know what I mean? We don't need one of us being in stereo as well.
Yeah, stepping over their frequencies.
Yeah. The next thing I know, Gary's got like 4 probably speakers then.
How about you, bastard?
But, no. So keep it simple is kind of best, I think. But so again, I've got that delay pedal. I've got a Page, the Kingsley pedal.
Yeah.
And I've got Harlot as well, but I haven't really bonded with it. So what I've done is I've got a MXR micro amp, and I'm putting that into the Page and boosting it for my high gain. So then I have got a consistent sound, and my compressor is a Phil Robinson that's a Phil Robinson compressor. I think it's called a Gain Line. It's called, which is actually. It's really just a Demeter. Is that how you call them? Demeter compulator or Demeter? I don't know. Demeter compulator, which is obviously a compressor. I bought one of these, same one that David Gilmour, one of the compressors that David uses, and I had some kind of high pitched sound in the background on it. So I wrote to them, and they went, "Oh yeah, this does happen sometimes. You have to," and told me how to get rid of it. I thought, I'm not a fucking electrician. You should tell me to send it back to you. So I phoned my mate up, Phil, who
I know Phil.
who makes exactly.
Yeah.
And he went, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. I'll make one with like better parts than they do. And he did. So now I don't use their effing pedal.
That'll show them.
Yeah, well, I don't think they're going to be that fussed. But it just, I didn't really want to use their pedal. I thought if I was going to use it, I'd put a bit of black tape over what it was called. Bloody so and so's. Anyway, so there's that, and now I'm using a Cornish NG3, which just sounds like your amp's about to blow up. For like the
Funnily enough, I had that happen. You've got a video on Pedal Boards of Doom where the back of my amp is basically shooting lightning out of it. Like, oh shit!
It looked so cool. The footage you got on his phone just looked so cool when the amp was actually blowing up.
Now I'm actually looking at. I've actually got to look at my pedal board on my Instagram account because I can't remember. So yeah. So I've got that NG3 on it, and then I've got an analog man thing that I probably shouldn't actually talk about what it is because I think Mike's going to go into production with it at some point in the near future. But I have a prototype.
Tell me about that later, then.
I have a prototype. I actually have 2 prototype pedals of theirs on the board.
So check out the Instagram is what you're saying if you want some kind of sneaky.
One of them, you can see one of them. It's actually called a Bigfoot.
I wonder what that could be.
and then there's I've got a Free the Tone EQ on there, and a Vox wah that's been modded so I can reverse the input and output and make those seagull sounds that David does in echoes. And
did you see the seagull pedal that Jam made? It's just
have I seen it? No.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it because I use a wah as well, so it just made sense for me to, have even have less pedals on there. And then
I'll
of
send you a
course,
link for it later.
and then of course, the Thorpe Scarlet Tunic is on there.
Ooh,
yes.
So that sounds like a segue. That does.
I thought it might. I thought that might work as a segue. Yeah.
I mean,
that's why I saved the best till last.
Segues work so much better when you talk about them on podcast. So yeah, tell us about the Scarlet Tunic. Walk us through the kind of the process behind it because it's.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really an awful lot to tell. I mean, really, all it was I think I put on a. I was never that happy with the sound I had for the Syd Barrett tunes, with the distorted sound. I mean, specifically on Interstellar Overdrive, and it had that very kind of, I don't know if glassy is the right word, but that sort of ice picky treble. Maybe that is the right word.
What you mean, yeah.
When it was, but not. It wasn't overly distorted, but that glassiness made it sound like that, and also kind of gave it. Sounded like he's playing octaves, and he's not. It's just that thing that distortion can do, where you hear a higher note.
That kind of harmonic division kind of thing.
Yeah, and what I was using was more of a stock plexi type sound, which was great, but it sounded too derivative, like I was trying to sound like that.
Okay.
And I found a video on YouTube by a band, a guy. Well, actually, it's a guy called Jed Tyler, who's in a Canadian band called Julie's Andrews, and he's kind of like the Tony Iommi of Julie's Andrews. I think he's the only consistent member all the time, But I found that video, and it was basically him playing through his Selma, and it sounded exactly like the Pink Floyd version, on Piper at the Gates of Dawn. So I wrote to him and found out exactly what it was, and then the next thing was I've been talking to Adrian to Thorpe about a couple of his pedals, and I just asked him, would you be interested in trying to clone a Selma into a pedal? And he was, and it just so happened that Dan, who works with him, Coggins, who had the dinosaur, Dan actually had that amp. I mean, not that he had Sid's amp, but he had that model. So that made it even easier for them. So they went about putting that into a pedal, and I've got to say, it really does sound to me like it's got a tube in it. I don't know it hasn't. But what they've done, really, I mean, it just sounds exactly like the amp. We AB'd it. I went down there. It did take me a while to get a prototype that I could go down there with because, he's so busy doing other things. He's probably, I don't know, he's probably got, 3 pedals going at the same time, to work on, So I went down there and I, and it was exactly what I wanted. I'd even sent him a I managed to get um an isolated track of Sid's guitar, so I could send it to him so he could, model it. So he had like that's the sound I'm after. I actually forgotten how long it took. I think
It
COVID
was a
must have slowed
while.
it. Yeah, COVID must have slowed it down. It was probably two and a half years, something like that. 2 years. And then when I went down to AB it, I mean, the biggest difference was that the Selma amp had loads of buzz, and the pedal did. The pedal didn't, But I don't know what they've done, but it really does sound like like it's got a tube in it. And also, I think I did an interview with Lee Anderton about it, and of course you get all the comments from people going, who the hell wants to get Sid Barrett sound? He's crap, all that stuff. It's like, yeah, that's it's the whole point is it's a vintage, for want of a better expression, sound. It, and Adrian has actually engineered it, or maybe Dan with him as well has done that. To there's a lot more gain on it. So, people from 2022 can use it as well. It's not like only goes up to, it goes up to 11. It doesn't just go up to 6. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's fine with that. Okay.
I don't think it does go up to 11. I haven't looked at the actual
they're just
things
dots
on
the
I've
bigger
counted the dots.
circles. You got 5.
But but it's very useful, and it's not a one-trick pony. It doesn't have to just be used for
the Sid
to sound like Sid Barrett. I think Paul Kossoff even used that amp for the solo in All Right Now.
Oh, really?
I believe. Well, Adrian told me that, so I'm presuming
I wouldn't argue with
he
him.
knows. No, I would never argue with Adrian. No,
he probably gets most of that information off of Dan, and Dan is like a walking encyclopedia.
Right? Okay.
That sort of things.
So,
what do the 3 buttons on the pedal do?
You only asked me that because I said at the start I don't know. No, I know that the one on the left-hand side is the bass one, and the one in the middle I don't know what it does, but I've put it into the middle and it actually sounds. What I'm doing now is, instead of modeling the pedal to sound like that track, I've just modeling the pedal just to sound like that era, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So I sort of marry that up with the page, actually, and so the page gives it a little bit more
tubiness.
Well, sort of maybe a slight, actually takes a little bit of the high end, the piercing high end out.
Yeah.
Because I do like the two of them together. Still sound very amp like. Sometimes you put 2 pedals together, they can sound a bit boxy.
Yeah, it kind of almost forcing the frequencies, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you're running the micro amp into them, and is that to boost the gain?
I'm boosting the Scarlett tuning into the page, and it's a weird way around of doing it, but it works really well for me. At least it works really well in my room here at home. When I get on stage next week, I'll probably go, "Ah, man, that doesn't work."
Flip it over.
Yeah.
Fuck this.
But I mean, that's another whole conversation you could have about how different it is when you get on stage. I mean, Christ, you watch all these things on YouTube with everyone testing pedals out, and as soon as you get in front of a band, it doesn't sound anything like that.
That's
playing on stage volume.
When you listen back to isolated tracks of like famous guitarists, and you go, that tone is absolute shit. Like it's so thin and boxy, and but when it sits in the track, it's beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's exactly what I mean. Yeah.
You're controlling all your pedals with the G2. Is it still the G2, or did you get
still
the
G3? Still the G2, because I don't really need the G3. I didn't need to upgrade, but I've got 2 G2s.
That's G4. That is
G4.
One more.
Maybe
better.
I'll get a G4 if he ever comes out with that. So I'm controlling all with the G2, and I think that's about it, isn't it, with the pedals? I think on that one.
And you use it with presets as opposed to like the sort of like
Yes,
okay,
yeah.
that's this pedal sort of thing.
I started off using I started off having is actually I asked Jake at the gig rig what he did, and he does, I started doing it like that. So I actually had my bottom tier um presets were all like my different distortions.
Right. Yep.
For so many songs, then I'd go onto a different bank and then have the next lot. But I do that, and then the top tier were all my delays, different delay times, because it's Floyd, of course. There's all different delay times, and I don't tap. It's all the same. They're the same every night, more or less. But then
benefit of playing with a good drummer.
Well, then exactly, and then I just suddenly thought, am I doing this the right way? Maybe there's a better way. So I actually spoke to Dave Kilminster, who plays guitars with Roger Waters.
Yes.
And he told me how he does it. And it is like, he does it not necessarily per bank, but he does a song, so if the first song's got 2 presets, he'll just make 1 and 2 that song, and then the second song is 3, 4, and 5, whatever. So now I've started doing that, and I've got to say it actually works much better for me.
So you have a bank per song?
No, I don't have a bank per song. I have a bank for
a couple of songs or
five songs or something.
Right. Okay. Per tone, then.
I think I have I think I use about 5 banks, and we've got 20 songs or 19, 20 songs or something.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I get you.
Yeah.
What I do on mine is I have the first 5 normally to be different presets, and then I've got the ES8, and then the last 4. I've got 4 of the switches. Then where I can switch the reverb on and off. The drive in and out on each amp, because I'm running stereo amps.
Yeah.
So I can switch them in and out on any of the banks.
Well, one thing that the G3 does that I do think is interesting is the parallel mixing, so that you can have different distortions on in parallel, which I think would be quite an interesting thing to hear. But I haven't got one, so I can't hear it.
The ES8 does parallel, and I use it all the time.
Right.
It's so good. It's if you've got 2 effects and you want these 2 effects on, they're just not playing nicely together, but you're like, I really want that, and I don't want to have to piss about with the settings.
Yeah.
You just take them away from each other and let them sum up at the end.
And how does that work with gains? Like, I was saying before about how when you stack pedals, they can get boxy, but you're kind of not stacking them, aren't you? It's weird. Not. Yeah.
And it's a really one of the interesting things is stacking something like a fuzz with an overdrive, or a fuzz with a distortion, or an overdrive with distortion.
Yeah.
And you can get like say you wanted to get your HM2 and you wanted it with like scooped mids or something like that, and then you take an overdrive with push mids.
Yeah.
And you get all that clarity of getting through, but with that overdrive, and you can get that really heavy tone for all your metal songs that you play.
Was that the pre Sid Barrett, the metal era?
But you're using the Tumnus now as well, aren't you?
I've been using the Tumnus to boost. I was trying to get a way of getting the page to work. To get it boosted, but actually the MXL microamp's done that, because it's not as coloured. Well, I mean, the Tumnus is coloured. The Clone obviously is coloured very much in the mids. So once I sort of realised I got that MXL microamp there, that's what I'll use on tour. But I use the Tumnus, definitely using that at home, and I'll probably end up, I'll end up using that not on this stuff probably. I mean, I've been doing some other stuff.
You mentioned that. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, when we were in lockdown, I played on Gary's. I did a track on Gary's album playing lap steel. He had a solo album, and then I think I did another thing with a guy called Jeff Slate, who's an American singer-songwriter. That was actually really cool, because I ended up playing on a track although obviously I wasn't with him because we were all in lockdown, but I ended up playing on a track with Earl Slick from David Bowie's band, and Duff McKagan on bass.
Nice.
Yeah. And I've actually forgotten the gentleman's name, but the guy who plays drums with Paul Weller. Totally forgotten the man's name because we've never met. but that was cool. And then recently, my friend Stephen Wilson from, well, he has his own solo
Drop
career in
that name
Porcupine
there.
Tree.
Stephen Wilson.
Yeah. So Stephen asked me to play on some stuff that will come out next year, I guess. I mean, it's no secret he's mentioned that he's working on another solo album. So, or maybe I'll end up on the cutting room floor. I don't know.
What now?
Yeah.
or not cutting room floor, recycle bin. Maybe I'll end up in. But no, I mean, I know. I'm pretty sure. I think as I actually went down and did. He sent me some stuff and said, like, what would you do with it? And what would you do on it, rather? And so I went over and sort of thought, well, this would work and that would work. And it's funny because he told me the other week that one of the bits he's actually decided is now a whole other song. So so there's actually, like, maybe I'll end up on two different songs. I don't know, but no, that was really interesting. And it's great to work with someone like Stephen, because the funny thing about him is he's a great guitarist, but he doesn't think of himself as a guitar player. He thinks himself as a singer-songwriter, I suppose.
Yeah.
So, like, he said to me, come and play on it. I was like, why do you want me to play on it? You could be doing it, you know what I mean? But he's always up for just, working with different people and seeing what can come.
Well, you seem to have inspired another song, so it was worth it.
Well, I don't know if I inspired it, but no, it's good to, that was cool to hear. Maybe get some more, royalty payments out of two songs, not one.
Hey.
Get in.
But yeah, no. So that I've been doing that. But other than that, I've been, we did. Well, I was away from home for 14 weeks earlier in the year. We did a trek through UK and then Europe. Well, UK is part of Europe. It's just not part of the EU. So we did 14 weeks in Europe, I should say, and then we're about to start in North America next week.
How long is that for?
5.5 weeks.
Oh, that's not too bad.
I'm counting the half weeks. You see, no, it's not that bad. I think it's 5.5, 6 weeks, something like that.
Have you got any memorable moments from your music career that you want to impart on?
Well, I mean, going on the. Well, I mean, my memorable moments are probably really, with the Blockheads, are just playing with them, because that's such a lesson, in playing with other musicians, because they, and there's always that thing about, people don't play the same way twice. I always used to say to them, they don't play the same way once. They're just amazing guys to play with, and so that was just a fantastic experience, and really makes you grow up as a musician to play with people of that ilk, and gives you, and also importantly, gives you confidence, and with this band, I'd say, I think obviously the Albert Hall was fantastic. There was a great venue in Luxembourg. It's actually a small venue. It's a club that we play, but there's a track we do called Saucerful of Secrets, and on the track, David sort of sings sort of chorally near the end of it, not screaming, but sort of like, and the whole audience did it. And it's the only place in the whole world where we've played that the whole audience have sung that before Gary's got to it. So that's really memorable. And then obviously when Roger Waters came to sing "Set the Controls to the Heart of the Sun" with us at the Beacon Theatre in New York, because that was probably the closest that there will ever be to any sort of inverted commas Pink Floyd reunion that there will ever be. I mean, unless David comes to perform with us at some point, in which case then it would be, Nick and David, who are Pink Floyd now, but obviously they brought that single out recently to aid Ukraine and guys on that with them, but yeah, failing David coming along to perform, that's probably the closest. And it was quite something to have Roger on stage, and and be so polite, in print about us after that, saying how great we were. That was really nice. But yeah, those are certainly memorable moments. And I think, from a purely personal point of view, the fact that my mum and dad, who touch wood, are healthy, are still around, and to see all this happening.
Do they come and see you play?
Yeah, they come quite a lot. In fact, they're actually on an airplane as we talk, on their way to New York to see my sister who lives there, in order to come and see us next week in Boston, and then Providence and wherever else they're coming to. So yeah, they come quite a lot.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
that's the coolest.
Gary's christened them the band parents now. Which is quite funny because I think Nick's older than them. But
Nice.
It also means you have to do behave yourself, doesn't you? So
I'm 50 in October. I kind of all my behaving myself has been going on for quite a while
The
now.
wild days are behind.
Those are kind of behind me now. Yeah.
I imagine they were the blockhead days.
for sure.
Well, yeah, I'm pre.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk pedals. Let's talk some choice picks from Ali. What are we saying? What's your goes to?
Yeah, I did used to use a couple of pedals that I like that Electronic Orange make, which he makes Big Muff clones, and he also makes a clone of the Color Sound Boost, and actually it's called a Banana Boost, and it's really good. And the other one I like is the Throwback Overdrive, which is the same thing. I think that's got germanium in it as well as silicon, so you can switch between the two.
Is that transistors or clipping diodes? Or
I think transistors. I think,
yeah,
but I can't remember. But that's a really good one. And of course, that was used a lot back in the period that we're focusing on. I'm trying to think what else. It's quite, what's another pedal I really like? I don't know.
You said you liked delays earlier. Which delays did you go through before you ended up on the Future Factory?
Yeah. So I had one of those Korg ones that the Edge uses in a rack mount. I forgot what it's called. But
I know he famously uses the 2290, the TC 2290. What else he got?
No, there's another one he uses that had a preamp in it that he liked a lot. I can't remember. Maybe you can find it while we're
A3?
No, I'm sure it's Korg who make it, and they made it a pedal, SDD something. It's called.
What?
Yeah.
Eddie Van Halen used it as well, didn't he?
I don't know, but I know that Dallas Shoe, his tech, worked with Korg to get it into a pedal. So I used that on some of our early shows, and then I think I then just switched straight over to Free the Tone because David was using them on the last tour, and I just thought, well, if it's good enough for David Gilmour, you know what I mean? So I got two of those, and used two of them at the same time. I like to use two delays at the same time.
I do. I actually use on my DD 500. You know the Boss one.
Oh yeah.
I have the SDD 3000. I have that on two of them on at the same time.
Yeah.
Bouncing off of each other, so like ping ponging left and right. Beautiful. One of my favorite delay sounds ever.
I'm still trying to think, and obviously, what else come back to is just things like the Boss H. You mentioned it earlier on, the Boss HM2, which I said was the first one I bought. I love that pedal, and I love a blues driver. I love the blues driver as well.
Pedals. Yeah.
Underrated often.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the King of Tone is almost a little bit like a posh blues driver. I know, I mean, I know a lot of people think I'm talking rubbish, but I mean, do you know what I mean? It's that kind of,
it's the same kind of ballpark, but
I know it's not based on that circuit, but
but fancy hat on.
I mean, and I love the King of Tone, but the speaker I'm using with my amp, which is the same. I've got the same one at home as I have at on the road, is based on an old it's the same speaker that David uses. I've completely, it's a faint crescendo. It's based on that.
Oh, okay.
And it's very upper high, upper mids, so
They're loud as well, then, aren't they?
it goes very loud. I mean, we actually have a baffle in front of our amps now because they called the area in front of my amp was called Lee's Corridor for a while. It was just far too much. I mean, we don't play arenas. The largest we play is like 4,500 people, but generally we're playing to 2,000 people. So we're playing theatres and everyone can hear my amp who's sitting in front of it too loud. So we baffles in front. But a lot of pedals, light-ish overdrives don't sound that great through that amp.
With that specific speaker.
Yeah, because through that speaker, I should say, because you kind of need that, not so much, mid scooped, but you do kind of need to bring down some of that frequency. It works great live, in the band setting, but if you're at home, and actually, funny enough, last week I'd put a photograph up. Someone asked me for my settings on the Tumnus Deluxe, and Lee made a joke about, my God, look how mid scoop that is, but actually, that's primarily because of the speaker that I'm using, and all I was doing was matching it to my page, and it was quite. I mean, it wasn't all the way down, but it was quite down. But I suppose the next pedal that I get is my favorite pedal.
That's the guitarist answer that, isn't it? Like N+1 is the amount that you need.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's the thing where people say, what's your favorite gig? And I always say, well, it's the next one.
Have you ever played an MXR Blue Box?
No, I haven't. No.
I mean, you are one of the lucky ones. Keep it that way.
Right. What is it?
It's my favorite pedal.
Is it a blues? Is it a bluesy sound or something?
It's the complete opposite of a bluesy sound.
Oh right.
So the most famous song it was used on was
a song by Blue. I know.
All Rise. Yeah.
Actually, a Led Zeppelin song. Thank you very much, gentlemen. But it was "Fall in the Rain."
The solo isn't in that, isn't it?
But it's a terrible use for it.
I didn't realise there was a guitar on it. I only listened to the drums ever on that.
Yes, my man.
It's like it's got an octave down fuzz, but it gets really gated. And when you turn the fuzz all the way to the left, it just gets kind of like 8-bitty.
Okay.
And it just starts breaking up. It sounds like you're playing an old Master System or something like that.
That sounds like a bit like what the NG3, the Cornish pedal, does that I'm talking, because that's got a bias knob on it and it gets really spluttery if you engage it quite a lot. It's a mad pedal, but you can actually tame it by turning your volume down on your guitar.
The way you're describing that there, it sounds like a much more refined version of the Blue Box.
Really?
The Blue Box is...
It's a Cornish. It's
rough and ready would be a kind way to describe it.
Right.
It's an acquired taste.
I think. I honestly think the NG3 is an acquired taste as well. You've got to hear it. If you're not, not a lot of people use it. I think that Lou Reed used it on a song. I forgot what it's called.
That would make sense.
And it was just it's nasty.
Say no more.
Nasty sound. And apparently, Pete Cornish told me that John Mayer has one, and he was using it. But how I was just saying, he was using it with the volume down on his guitar. I don't really know why you just use it for that. You kind of want it so you can, go. And I use it I've been using it at home. I should be using it next week on a track we do called Obscure by Clouds, where I play slide, and it's got a sound, because the live versions I heard of David playing that, he must have been using a fuzz face, and it just sounds really nasty.
Yeah.
Does the NG3 have an octave down?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't got an octave thing on it. No.
Okay. So imagine that, but with like a dropped octave on it. So you still got your standard octave as well. So you got the how they clash together.
And is it fuzzy or muffy
yeah.
or it's fuzz? It's a fuzz.
Yeah, but it's like
it sounds
it's
almost
mental.
digital. The fuzz does.
Yeah, but it's an old
right.
pedal. It's
Right.
like from the 70s.
Yeah,
Get one. They're not expensive, but get an old one if you can.
Does
But
Jimmy Page use it with an octave on it on that track?
It just
Yeah.
it's the octave is always on.
Okay.
You've got no choice.
Right.
Well, you've got the blend, haven't you? You've got the blend control.
That's true. That's
brings
true.
in the octave.
They should have waited for the Wampler fuzztration, and they could have.
Oh, do you know what I'm talking about, Richard? Send me one of them over because I fancied one of them for ages, and I love the graphic on it, which I think Jason actually created the graphic for that. Yeah, yeah, it looks really interesting, that frustration. But get what I want you to do is get the. I would send you one if I had a spare one, but my one's the only one I've got. But get one and then just chuck it on with a bit of delay on it, and you can just lose yourself for hours.
Wow.
It's so much fun.
Well, that's kind of what I should be able to do in our band, so maybe.
Yeah,
yeah, that's it.
Oh man, will you do any originals? Do you think?
I don't. I mean, I never. I think if we were to ever do anything like that, I think it would be, something like a soundtrack or something. Like if someone asked us to do some music for a film or a video game or something. I don't.
Yes.
I can't imagine that we'd just record. Because what would you do? Like write pastiches of Syd Barrett and early Pink Floyd songs? I mean, you know what I mean? It's
sorry, you lost a weird one. The idea of a video game with a Syd Barrett-esque soundtrack. I am all about that right now. That's my life now. That's all.
Well, now it's on this podcast. Maybe someone's going to hear that, and it maybe what happens. Some guy, in the big game corporation will come and knock on our door.
I have a friend who works at Square.
Yeah.
Actually, Dom, who's our keyboard player, that's what his main job, I suppose, is he does a lot of music for games. He has a company that does it, but he's not going to ask us. I meant like someone else might ask us to do it.
No, ask him.
So press the issue. Right, yeah, it's been an absolutely wonderful experience. This is it's been enlightening to hear from someone who actually goes out there and does the thing, rather than us who just sit in bedrooms and pontificate about pedals.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Indeed, yeah. No, thanks for coming on. And just we'll throw out a plug. Where can we find? I mean, you're doing tour dates in America at the moment. We've got American listeners. Where can they find stuff for you? If they go, well, I mean, obviously the band's called Saucerful of Secrets. The website is The Saucerful of Secrets. Quite a long one there to type out, but it is the saucerfulofsecrets.com, and that's got all the dates on it. And we've also got, obviously Facebook and Instagram pages. Yeah. For Nick Mason, Saucerful of Secrets, and I've got my own, Instagram page. I think I am at Mr. Mr. Lee Harris, LEE, and my Facebook page is lee.harris.official, I think it is. But very nice. If you want to look at pictures of me and my dog in France and stuff like that. I mean, that sounds exactly up my street. What dog are we talking, by the way? What are we saying? He's a golden Labrador. Oh, nice. Classic. That's dog classic, that, isn't it? And he's called Eric. Of course he is. I was gonna get a Jack Russell and a ginger cat. Then I could have had an Eric, Jack, and ginger. But, we didn't end up doing that.
You're not a cat seat, don't you? Or cat drink. What? Cream.
Oh God.
I think we found our shit joke, haven't we? Right, I'm extending a thank you. That was it. Yeah, we'll put that at the end. I'll extend a thank you to all of our listeners for making it this far. It's an absolutely mammoth podcast. I will probably slice up a little select bits and shove it in the Patreon, just as a little cheeky. But it's been an absolute event. I am going to extend an even massiver thank you to the people who pay us for this nonsense, which are the Patreon backers, who are as follows. We have got Mr. Andrew Bimpson. We've got Mr. Adam Yeomans of Chef Tone Effects. We have got Mr. Doug Christ of 37 Effects, Masters of the Cinematic Universe podcast and the Just Surprising Me podcast. We have got Mr. Hugh G. Rection. Yes, we do. We've got Mr. Ben Fletcher of Fletcher Pickups, and we've got Mr. Brian Gow of the Tone Jerks podcast and the Second Button podcast, and occasionally the Just Surprise Me podcast as well. Those guys are awesome. You could be that cool too for as little as $2 a month. It is patreon.com/FretTalk. If you want to find me online, you know where to go. You've got Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, /BudgetPedalChap. The home of the No Talk or Tone series is YouTube, and the home of the No Talk or Tone Versus series. And Lee, padabadabadadoo, where can we find you?
You know where to find me. Everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and then everywhere pedalboards do. You can find us on Budget Pedal Chap's shirt. You can find us anywhere you want to find me. You'll find me.
A wonderful visual gag for this audio podcast, Lee.
Yeah.
So it will be from myself, Mr. Budget Pedal Chap, from two different Lees this week. It will be a tatty bye and good night for this week. Au revoir.
Bye-bye.
So there's a guy, Mr. Goldberg, who lives next door to this health farm, and there's a sign outside it. Obviously, like private, private, no swimming allowed, and he keeps going to use the pool all the time. And eventually, the guy who runs the place gets security, says, "Look, I've had enough of this. You've got to go around to Mr. Goldberg, who lives next door, and tell him to come to see me because he just keeps using the pool. He's not paying, So they go and get him and they take him to see the boss. And he says, like, Mr. Goldberg, you keep coming here using the pool. The sign's there. You can't be coming in here. Private, no swimming allowed. He says, the sign? It says private? No, swimming allowed. And I am Jewish, so I can tell. But anyway.
I didn't know you were Jewish. I had no idea. Oh, that's funny.
I mean, that's actually a legit joke. It's much higher standard.